listening to one of our podcasts. It's so weird listening back to us because I feel very different now to what I in that podcast. I felt like just the person that was sort of agreeing. You sort of say something and you hear me go, yeah, yeah.
Hey, welcome to Stay in Touch. Feels great to be back doing this after 2 weeks after last week's malfunction that there's no need to go into, but struggled last week. Should be okay this week. What's going on with me right now? Things have been different, man. I mean, these conversations are funny to listen back to because I did the majority of them back in the early days, first couple of weeks of the lockdown, where I felt very productive, very positive, and to be completely honest, things have unravelled to a certain degree, and I've spent a good couple of weeks not doing anything really because I'm just finding it too difficult to keep on top of anything, and sort of lost motivation and a sense of why I'm doing anything and a lot of purpose. So it's been really tricky. That has been really challenging. I've been quite anxious and probably depressed, to be honest. Which is it's fine. It's okay. And I've learned not to beat myself up about that, and I know what to do about it and stuff. And so it's cool. We'll get through it. But yeah, just kind of, I guess it's important that as much as this show is about being positive and sharing the positive, it's also about, there is positivity in acknowledging the challenges that I'm facing and that we're facing. So I'm sure lots of people are feeling like this, have felt like this, will feel like this in the weeks to come when everything's still a little bit uncertain. And we just got to tell ourselves that you're not the only one going through it. It could always be worse. Someone's always got it worse than you, and it'll pass. It comes and goes in waves, doesn't it? I also ended up going to the doctors yesterday, which feels crazy. I ended up with got like a chest thing, almost like a shortness of breath, sort of tightness. So I've been and gone, and everything's fine. I've got an inhaler, so that's cool. I feel great today, but see how that goes. Keep an eye on that, and then keep using my inhaler when I need it. And like I say, I'm feeling great mentally as well today, so I'm ready for a good day. Okay, so this week I've been really excited about this conversation with Joe Hall, who was one of my best mates at uni. We lived together for a year, and generally just spent a lot of time hanging around, being goofballs, especially in our first year. I guess there's a thing at uni where you get close with certain people, and then the sort of groups and the dynamics change and shift a little bit. But you've always got your sort of favourite people, and Joe was one of mine. He's asked me to let you know ahead of this episode that, again, because we recorded it so long, some things have changed in his living circumstances and that sort of thing since the conversation. And unfortunately, he was applying for universal credit because he'd been let go by his company at the start of the lockdown. And he just informed me, just yesterday got in touch actually, and said that he couldn't get anything off universal credit for whatever reason. And he and his partner have just had to give up their flat, and they'll be returning to their respective family homes for a little bit. But he says, they're doing all right, and Joe's just the most wonderful. I mean, they both are. Joe and Annie are really wonderful, positive people, and super strong. And they'll get through this no problem. And it's really cool that they've got their families behind them, supporting them. But sorry to hear that, guys, and wish you all the best. And you'll get back out there when the time's ready. And thanks for letting me know, and for asking me to share that with everyone. We talked about lots of stuff. There's a big focus this week on a conversation about meditation, which was really cool because Joe recently we both recently got into it. I've been doing it for 2 years on and off, a year every day. And Joe's been, I think he's about half a year, so just about half a year behind me. And we talked about how it's been made accessible to both of us, how it seems really mystical and strange in the beginning, and then when you get into it, you just realise that it's got a really practical, pragmatic application that is more than relevant to us in the 21st century. So that is a bit of a pre-ramble, probably more than I intended, but stick around and really enjoy this episode of everybody's favourite internet show, Stay in Touch.
Hello, Jake Marsden.
It's nice to see you again after all this time.
Yeah, and you with your lovely new shaven head.
Yeah, here it is. That's strange that you haven't seen me with a shaved head, and I haven't seen you with all that facial hair either. It's like we're
I know, we're two changed men, aren't we?
different.
It was
people.
weird actually when you reached out to me to do this. One of my first thoughts was that I haven't seen your shaved head yet.
Here you are.
I think that's a compliment. I mean that as a compliment.
Is it a compliment just to say you haven't seen it yet?
It looks very good.
Oh, thank you.
I like it. I actually do. It does. It really suits you.
Cheers, mate. I've been doing these conversations and then watching them back to edit them, and like I'm looking at myself being like, I think I'm turning into, or I think I want to feel like I'm turning into some sort of monk. You know, I'm
right. Yeah.
Shouting.
You just did the orange robe.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'm pretty much there. I've got everything else down. You know. The lifestyle.
Yeah. No, the red cardigan works. I think you're doing well with that.
Welcome to Stay in Touch HQ, also known as my bedroom. It's nice to.
Lovely to meet you. I like it.
Thanks very much. Gosh, we got so much to catch up on. So we went to uni together. Where in the world are you right now?
Right now, I'm in the spare room in Dumfries in Scotland.
Fantastic.
The spare room of Dumfries.
How the hell did you get to Dumfries? What took you there?
It's quite bizarre, isn't it? It was, well, if I'm going right back to how we got there, it was from travelling. Me and Annie went travelling. Annie's my girlfriend for those watching, if anyone's watching who don't know me. We went travelling around Southeast Asia, and we just wanted to be looking to move in together. When we got back, Annie, while she was out there, she decided she wanted to be looking to do a master's in nature and the environment. So we got back and she was applying to different universities, and we've always liked Scotland, and one of the many that did accept her was Dumfries. So we came up, we had a little holiday here, checked out the area, checked out the opportunities, and we just bit the bullet really, and we made a move. But
so cool. What are the? I know this might be like just an intangible thing, but what are some of the things you liked about it and that you like about it now to keep you there?
One of the really big things actually is it's a proper like community. It's sort of like I love Hull, and I'm not criticising Hull, but as soon as I even arrived here, just on the little holiday, the people are so like welcoming, and I felt a bit weird because I know it's only Scotland, it's like literally down the road in a sense, but I felt like because I had an English accent and I'm there in Scotland, I felt really like not nervous, but we went to a pub the first night, and I realised ordering my drink, I was like, there's proper Scotsmen, locals, you know, all around me. But in my head at first I was like, oh gosh, I feel a bit out of place. But within 10 minutes, and this is just, I'm using the pub as an example, but it goes out to the whole town. Within 10 minutes of being in the pub, I just felt like really comfortable and welcome. And we got chatting to this elderly couple there, and we were looking around flats and stuff on the same trip. So we were talking to this elderly couple. This lady who'd been talking for 5 minutes, she says, well, if you don't find a flat, I've got a spare room upstairs. You two can come stay anytime you want. You know what I mean? It was just a really nice, like, feel.
That's brilliant. So that's like totally unique to there that you've not really experienced. Yeah, gosh, I don't think I've never felt like that. And I've started to sort of crave that as well. I think you watch TV shows like where the whole plot of the show is that everybody in the town knows each other and stuff. And I've wondered how realistic that is and whether that does exist somewhere. And you can live in a place like that, and you seem to have found it.
Yeah, kind of. I suppose it's not that everybody knows each other, but I think there's a sense that you don't have to know the person down the road. It's sort of you're just all, I don't know, you're a community, I suppose. You know.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Is Annie studying now, or did she start that?
Yeah, she's right now. I was gonna grab her if you wanted on. She's on FaceTime with her brother at the minute. He's helping her with a dissertation, but I can hear them talking. So if I hear them stop, I'll go grab her.
Yeah, great. It'd be nice to say hi.
Yeah.
So how's that going in terms of? I mean, where are you now in terms of lockdown and all that sort of thing? How's that affected you guys?
We're currently, well, obviously we're stuck in the flat, but Annie's still, her studies were still going on, so she's been doing lectures on Zoom. So in terms of her university work, that's sort of carried on. Her work, she's on furlough, so she's a gardener at the Mowbray, which is a children's storytelling centre. She's a gardener there.
Hang on, she's a gardener at a children's storytelling centre. What is?
Yeah. So,
oh my God, what is this life that you're living up there? This is incredible.
I'll come back to the question you asked me, but just about the Mowbray. So that children's storytelling centre, we discovered. Well, when we came and visited, that was one of the things we really liked. It's where J.M. Barrie, the Peter Pan writer, he used to play pirates there, and he came up with the idea of Peter Pan. So it's kind of like, it's called the Peter Pan Mowbray, and we both work as like freelance actors. Well, actors is a bit of a stretch, but we dress up as pirates and play with the kids essentially there, and also Annie's the gardener.
This is incredible.
So yeah, it's really nice.
That's fantastic.
Really nice.
And does she enjoy that? Does she enjoy it?
Loves it. She really loves it.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
It's really nice to see. Yeah.
When was the last time you did the J.M. Barrie Pirates work?
Because it's freelance, it would vary. So it would. I'd maybe do one a month, like one weekend a month. So it'd be a Saturday and a Sunday. But just before lockdown happened, actually, we were asked to become a bit more involved and like be part. They wanted to set up like a creative team. People that actually come up with the ideas for events for children on weekends, and like they wanted to get in touch with authors who've like released books and bring them to the Mowbray and do like events for all different stories. So that sort of has obviously all been put on hold at the minute. And then jumping back to the question about how lockdown is affecting us. So Annie is on furlough, and then obviously the Mowbray work's sort of been put on hold because it's all closed. Then I was full-time at an electrical company. I was worked there through an agency, and I've been there since January. The job tried to sort of keep going. So I worked, I think, maybe 3 days into lockdown, and then they let the agency staff go because they can't afford, or they're saving money. I don't know the real ins and outs, but so I lost my job there, which was tricky because we're sort of just getting by, to put it. You know what I mean? So I lost my job there, and now I've gone through the process of applying for Universal Credit, which has come through, which is good. And I'm also sort of actively looking for supermarket work or something along those lines.
Cool.
But yeah.
Sorry to hear about that, mate. What a nightmare.
Thank you. It's okay.
How was the Universal Credit thing? Did it go smooth for you, or was it difficult?
It did. I think they've like changed it a lot than the process would normally be, for obvious reasons, because there's thousands and thousands of people are applying. It was online, sort of fill out a form, which that was the easy part, and then I got put into a waiting list, and I think there's something like 6,000 people on this list, and I was waiting on my phone, and this was to verify your ID essentially. So you'd fill out the form, you'd go through a verification process, and so yeah, there was a queue of about 6,000 people, which it went quicker than you'd expect 6,000 people to go. And then after that, it was a phone interview, which happened, I think, 3 or 4 days after. And then I'll just put my phone on mute because I'm getting little sounds coming through.
Yeah, no problem.
And then after the phone interview, then it was just approved, and it was sort of easy as that, really.
Oh, good.
So
well, I'm glad that was at least a bit sort of smooth for you.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was good. Thank you.
Cool. This is a shame then. Is the Mowbray, is that just closed down completely now until they can open again? They're not doing anything sort of digital or online with it?
They were looking at that, actually. I've not been in contact with them really since the lockdown started, but I think they've got an Instagram account, which is quite big locally, and I think they were going to put out some little videos and little challenges and stuff for children to do from at home, So I think stuff's still happening, but the building itself, because the building is also a museum, so you go in and you go through a great big door and it says "Welcome to Neverland," and the first room you go in is a great big sort of Peter Pan themed dining room. You'll go through to the Lost Boys little den, and then there's loads of different Peter Pan themed rooms. It's really cool, but the building is shut, so obviously, so it's just online sort of things going on.
Cool. Well, I find that Instagram pretty easy if I just look for Moat Bray.
Yeah, it should just be just Instagram, type in the Moat Bray, I guess, and it would come up.
Yeah, I'll definitely have a look at that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've been having loads of dreams recently about you and I did, because we both studied drama and theatre practice together at the same time, and then we did some. We've done some professional and some amateur performance work together and also separately. I've been having dreams recently, very, very regularly, that I'm working on certain productions or just made up productions, and I'm either on stage or I'm in rehearsals or I'm at an audition, and I either haven't prepared or I've forgotten everything, and honestly I can't tell you how regularly it's happening, and it's made me think of you, and I don't know why that is. I've got all like anxiety about
probably because I always end up going on stage not knowing what I'm doing. That makes me think of me. No, do you know, it's funny though. I know the exact dream you're saying. I've definitely had that numerous times before. Definitely.
It's terrifying. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's wrong.
Do your teeth sometimes fall out as well?
I've never had that one, but I've heard about it.
Have you not?
I've heard lots about it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had that one, and like you say, this theatre one. I don't know if it was recently, but do you remember Grannies with Guns, the Z production?
Yes.
I was doing that in a dream the other night, as in about a month ago, and I didn't know what I was doing. Forgot my lines, forgot my costume,
Yeah, costume, that's one I remember very vividly, and that's how strange it is as well. I don't remember my dreams, but these ones, I can recall ones that I had months ago or years ago. I remember having one where I was due on stage and I couldn't find my bits of costume, and then when I could find them, I couldn't get the shirt on properly, and my arm was getting caught in the sleeve, and everybody was like, "Come on, you're going on, you need to go on." Yeah. So strange.
They're so bizarre dreams, aren't they?
Terrible.
Oh, in fact, this morning, I hope Annie doesn't mind me saying this. So I was up before Annie this morning, and then when she got up, she said first thing she said was she'd just had a rat king, a king of the rats, come visit her, and she was the chosen one. And so basically she'd been dreaming that the rat king had come up to her, and she said he had to whack his tail on the floor 3 times if he knew you. And there was loads of people stood in there, and Annie stood there, and the rat king comes up to her, taps his tail 3 times, and Annie became the chosen one.
Oh, a load of old nonsense.
Yep.
That's incredible.
I know. Good, isn't it?
Did you do much in the way of when was the last time? Obviously, it's great that you do this J.M. Barrie work at the Moat Bray. What's the last thing you sort of did in Hull before you? Did you do anything after uni or?
I did. Are you talking theatre, or do you mean?
Yeah, theatre first, and then we'll talk about whatever.
Yeah, theatre. I didn't. I after uni. What would have been? I think we did Target English together, didn't we? That would have been the first thing. That was almost straight after uni.
Yeah, so that's a sort of international student project we worked on, where every summer they come over to different centres in the UK, and we were in the Hull one, which is it's like one of the biggest ones, right?
I think so, yeah.
It felt like millions of kids, didn't it, from different European countries, and
it was crazy.
With very little in the way of preparation and experience. You're just all of a sudden you're in like Beverley or York with them, and there's just 500 of them following you around all day, and
you're using Google Maps on your phone, pretending you know the city. I did love that job there. As stressful and painful as it was, oh, they were some good times. Very good times.
That is a good laugh. I don't know that I'm pretty certain I wouldn't have the resilience for that now. That's a hardcore job. The year that we did it together, it was, what was that, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago. So like a year and a half ago. And it was that summer where it was just for like 30 days on the trot. It was like 30 degrees, wasn't it, in July?
Yeah, it was.
So we were just spending all day outside doing events, and getting absolutely no sleep, and just doing these massive long trips with these huge groups of kids. I don't know that I don't know that I could do it now. I'd cry. I'd just cry every day.
Yeah, do you know, it's weird because at the time, I think it was through Matt Galloway that I sort of applied and got the job, and I was probably the same with you. But doing it, I just sort of signed up and did it. And I actually think if I had stopped and thought about like the job, I don't think I would have done it. I think I would have been like, no way can I do that. But it's weird because you just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just when you're actually doing it there in the moment, you find I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I think I expected too that, like, when I did my phone interview, and when I was looking at I don't know that there was much in the way of a job description, but I do remember getting an email that was like, "Are you good at like speaking to groups of kids? And can you?" I'm trying to think of a better word than discipline, because it was never like discipline, but like, can you keep control, and are you confident, and all that sort of thing. And I was like, I can do this. That I can do drama workshops and whatever. Well, I didn't expect that when you get there, everybody does everything. So then all of a sudden I was like hosting the fashion show and designing designing sports games for the sports events. And they were looking to me like, oh, what are we going to do now? What do we do? And I'd be like, get this... put a bag of sweets in some flour and everybody try and get it out with their teeth. And
it's so funny though, because if the kids saw, like, to them, they only see the final like product of the event that we put together. But if you actually rewind to like 10 minutes before the event starts, you've got like 5 people in blue t-shirts, i.e. the workers, like panicking with nothing planned. Do you know what I mean? We just winged it with everything.
And there was no time, because while you were like in Manchester in the afternoon thinking, when I get back tonight, I have to host the sports day or whatever, and I'm in Manchester and we haven't planned anything, and there's no, what am I going to do between getting home, eating my dinner, and then trying to start that event? It was just mad, just nuts.
Wasn't it? Something else.
And then you were also trying to make the most of the time, because we were only there for a month, and we became very good friends, and we're trying to like socialize and relax as well. So you end up like sacrificing all the time you should be resting, just like drinking too much beer in the kitchen, and then going out every night and doing God knows what else. And that side of it as well, I can't do that anymore. I can't do. I mean, I feel like I'm getting so old, Joe. I'm really happy about it, because I feel like I'm arriving. You know, like I know myself a little bit more, and I know what's like what I'm comfortable with and what I enjoy more than I ever did. But I mean, even that, I couldn't go out and get. I mean, even then, people were doing it, and I was like, "How are you doing this? Going out 5 nights a week and just on it all the time?" Can you still do that?
I'd struggle now. No. Well, to be honest, I remember, I think of the 2 people that were there, I think me and you were the 2 which were quite eager to have a night in here and there.
Yeah.
I actually remember the one night when I think everyone went to Welly, and me and you ordered the pizza and ate it in your bedroom and said goodnight.
See,
that's it.
There we are. I should have known all along. That's who I was destined to become, and I shouldn't be fighting that part of myself.
Yeah.
So what else? Is there anything else that you? I'm trying not to do like, what are your hobbies and interests, but also how do you keep yourself busy?
That's
a hard question, isn't it? Like,
it is.
I think that like in this time, I've been saying this on a couple of the other episodes. This is the time where you're confronted really with, God, what do I do with my spare time? And now you're in charge so much more of what you do with your day to day and with yourself moment to moment. And
Yeah.
it's been quite cool for me that I've managed to get around to like this project, which I never would have done if I didn't have all this free time, and doing different hobbies and finding time to exercise and play music a little bit more and stuff. But I reckon that I don't know how long that can go on, before I get really fed up. It's been a month now I've been in the house, and how are you dealing with that? How are you finding that?
It was initially, at first, I really found it hard. Like I think probably because I did lose my job as well, I was a little bit down, but I wasn't too bad. Like like mentally, I felt like good. But it was more I wanted to do something, and then we're in the flat, so we don't have a garden or anything. So we'd sort of we'd go on our little daily walks, and then I'd sort of get back, and I wouldn't know what to do. Like I've done a lot of reading, so I read a lot, and I set up the old Xbox 360. So I played a few games that I used to like playing, but then it's sort of like I finished that, and I'm like, I'm left with another question of now what do I do? But that was sort of at the start of the lockdown, and I think now I'm feeling a lot better. As in, I don't really know what it is. I suppose I found a bit of motivation. At first, it was sort of finding the motivation to do something, and then when it comes to doing it, you find, this is good. It's picking me up again. But now that I found like a bit more motivation to sort of do something a bit new, and just stay occupied. Really, I think like I as of 3 days ago now, I've been going on a run every morning. Meditation as well is something which I've been practicing a lot. Painting, I did a bit of painting yesterday, which I never thought I would say.
Awesome.
But you know what I mean? It's just, but like, I'm not good at any of that stuff. I'm not a good runner. I'm not a good painter at all. But it's like I just enjoyed it. Like it just made me feel like I'm doing something quite productive. I think that's more what's getting me through the days, to be honest.
I wonder if there's a sense that we're so huge on economizing our time, and as much I think we end up wasting so much more time than we spend wisely because we're so frightened of doing something that's going to be a waste of time. And I kind of feel like, thank God you've had this time to. That's so cool. That I mean, maybe you never would have tried painting, you never would have gone running, because if you were, when we're working, you're like, right, I've got a day off, or I've got the weekend off, or I've got my evening free. So you kind of go, what's the best thing for me to do now? And is that relaxing? Is that doing something you already know you're good at because you can get more good at it? And are you going to look at something like, I definitely do this all the time, look at something that I feel like I could be interested in the future, but be like, I can't really be bothered to take that up, and I haven't got the time to really invest in it, so what's the point? And and now that dynamic is completely different, isn't it? And
yeah, completely. It's actually interesting what you said about you mentioned something about like making everything. What did you say? Something about economizing everything up. You used a word that I liked anyway, about making money. And it's quite interesting because when I did lose my job, I started a blog. I didn't publish it or anything, but I started a blog thinking, I'll do this with my time. Hopefully, like I'll get a decent following. I might be able to make a bit of money. That went out the window. I thought about starting a YouTube channel, had no motivation to do it. So it was everything I was thinking about doing was just, I need to make money. Do you know what I mean? It was sort of became like, oh gosh, where am I going to go now? How am I going to make money? And I thought, well, if I can do it through a blog, something that's productive and making money, great. But it took me within a day, I realised it's no. I was sort of trying to force it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the great question. Where does motivation come from? Why is it that there's something in front of you that's so appealing that should be fun? Something like starting a YouTube channel or a blog should be just like, great, that's fun, that's creative, it's going to be a nice outlet for me. Might get a little bit of appreciation for it, but then at the end of the day, you kind of go, no, I don't want to do that. And I've got all this, like, it's not fancy. There's nothing like special about it, but I've never had like a recording microphone, and I've got like an interface so I can record my guitar and vocals through it, and it sounds really nice. It's like super serviceable, could do that and then upload stuff and whatever. And I've had this for like a couple of months going on now, and this is the first thing I've really done with it. And I've got things in the pipeline, but like I say, I'm only going to do them because I've got all this time now. And what's the key to motivation? And I think it's not for me, it's not even just about money either. It's about like I have a great fear of like, I struggle to get into like a TV series because I'm at episode 3 thinking, God, there's another like 20 of these. I have to, and I'm already thinking ahead of like the commitment, and I have to get all the way ahead and
oh yeah.
And I've struggled quite a lot last few years to just be like, which is funny because as a meditator as well myself, obviously the whole point is finding that ease of just being where you are right now and embracing the present moment, and also acknowledging those fears and being able to let them go because they're not happening right now. But it's strange that as a meditator, and I'm really thankful to have that peace and ease in my life, I still can't go. It doesn't matter that I'm on episode 3. I'm getting better at it now because I've got more time. But really, I have in the past really struggled to get into those things and get any better.
Yeah. It's strange. It's I sort of think motivation maybe. We seem to think we need to do something to have an outcome at the other end, like whether that be a physical outcome or a feeling. For like, whereas half the time the feeling is just in doing the thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So, for example, painting. My outcome yesterday with painting a picture. I won't go get it, but it's honestly just some colours on a piece of it. Like, it's nothing, But there was no outcome. So I just did it, and I enjoyed doing it. And I think if I'd have stopped before painting and thought, oh, it's not going to be good, or I'm not going to be able to sell it, or I might not be happy with it, I'd lose motivation. So I think a lot of motivation is in expecting like a product or an outcome. And maybe we just need to accept that there doesn't need to be an outcome. Do you know what I mean? There doesn't need to be a product at the end of everything we do.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. I love that idea. I really like that idea. So talk to me a bit about I am looking to like tease that idea out a little bit more and delve into a bit of, if not spirituality, then just the practice of meditation itself. And I was talking to, on the last one, my mate Todd, who'd just started, so it was cool to talk about like the first experience of it, and he's getting on really well with it. Actually, he'd done like 3 or 4 days and was instantly like, he like got it. He felt like, okay, this is doing something for me. This is really cool. But I know that's not necessarily how it is for everyone. So you've been doing that for how long have you been? I don't know if you count it. You've been meditating.
I've always sort of dabbled in and out, as in like I've always been like a bit of an anxious person. So I'd say during university I sort of tried the app Headspace. I tried this and that, and I'd always do it for a couple of days and then it'd just go for like 2 weeks. I'd maybe do it again here and there. And I think I was sort of viewing it to be like, when I'm feeling nervous, I'll meditate and it'll heal me. And I think that I couldn't have been like much more wrong in that outlook. So that was when I reached out to you, actually, and I asked you, because I'd seen on your social media, obviously you're doing it daily, you're feeling the benefits. I can see in you how happy and confident you feel in yourself.
It's the bald head, isn't it?
It's the bald head. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I need to shave my head. That's it. But you gave me some really good advice, which I genuinely found extremely helpful. So much so I even went through. You sent me a great big paragraph. I even went through and I made notes. And it just became a thing of putting it into routine for me. So I've been meditating every day now since November. And I wouldn't say I felt benefits straight away. I think I enjoyed the practice. I enjoyed. At first, it was a chore. I was doing it because I wanted to get it to be part of my routine, and then upon doing it daily for maybe 2-3 weeks, and it was part of my routine. I'd do it. I'd wake up and I'd meditate. That was the first thing I'd do. I sort of found myself, I suppose, understanding it a bit more. I realised it's not really about. At first, I was maybe meditating, trying to reach some kind of freedom or some kind of feeling. And in actual fact, I think it's not that at all. I think it's a case of observing your own mind. You know what I mean? Realizing that the thoughts that we literally have followed for our entire life aren't actually real, like, at all. And that actually, if you just accept everything, there's just so much happiness that's already there inside, which sounds really like wacky. I realise it sounds like we're talking like two crazy people, but honestly, like, it took me to practice it daily to understand it, if that makes sense.
That's it. And God, as if this is going to make it sound any less wacky, the Buddhism and modern psychology course that I'm currently taking, because that's what I'm doing in my spare time. There was I can't remember where this guy was from. There was a monk by the name of Ajahn Chah who said that if you try to, like, understand the Buddha's teachings, like if you try to intellectualize them, your head will explode, and it doesn't work. And it's it's something to be done more than it is something to be understood. And I wonder if you agree that that's probably one of the barriers to why, because I'm sure you feel that, like, once you've got this knowledge and you use it in your everyday life now, which I'm sure you do, isn't there a sense where you go, like, why isn't everybody doing this? All you have to do is just sit and do nothing for 10, 25 to 3 minutes a day, and then all of a sudden your life is just, like, naturally easier. So why isn't this technology available to everyone, and why isn't everyone doing this? But I think that's probably it, isn't it? That it's a kind of chicken or the egg thing. Before you've actually done it, you can't feel it in the same way.
Completely, 100%. And I think it's something you can't approach from an intellectual standpoint. I don't think there's any like, I can't even the word of an intellectual sort of way. I don't think there is an intellectual way. I don't think there's any sort of way of explaining it without doing it and without being open to it as well. Because if you're sitting down, closing your eyes, thinking this is ridiculous, you're not meditating. You're not actually doing it. But no, I think as well, a big misconception is that it's some kind of religion or some kind of, like, spiritual wackiness, and it's just the essence of it is just connecting with yourself for what you are and what the world is. You know what I mean? It isn't this wacky idea, like, and for me to even say that, I went into meditation not skeptical. I did it because I had, like, personal struggles and stuff I wanted to sort of address, but I didn't go in talking like this, all spiritually and stuff like that. And I'm saying it because it's actually a real thing. Like, it's I hand on heart think if everyone meditated in the world, 90% of issues and conflicts would just be resolved.
You would think so, right? Because people are you become less fearful and less obsessed with your own interests, don't you? And and more, like you say, connected to yourself, and that's the perfect way to describe it, innit? And also, I always think it's really interesting that, like, we're having this conversation now, and these are the things that my meditation app is telling me, my Buddhism course is telling me, and that things that my own brain are telling me while I'm in the act of meditation itself, and also while I'm just thinking about it through the day. Like, the specific language that I hear around and that you've just repeated to me, like, it all correlates, So even if you do go in skeptical, but you experience it, you can't unexperience that, and you sort of can't deny it, can you? Once it's and so you think that getting into it was a case of, like, pushing through, being like, I know that in the long term I'm going to appreciate this if I keep it as part of my routine and ignore the feeling now that I'm a bit bored or restless or I don't want to do it, and just keep trying. And then how long
100%. I think my breakthrough point, actually, I don't know how long I would have been meditating, was realizing that, like, it sounds ridiculous, but in letting go of control of your feelings and anxieties or whatever, in letting go of control, you actually find control, because it's like the feelings are going to happen. So now if I feel like nervous, I was a bit nervous about doing this with you, but in not pushing the feeling away, in like sitting with it and accepting it, you actually you literally are able to make that conscious decision to acknowledge it as a feeling, as a sensation in your tummy or wherever it is, and not attach a story to it or a thought to it, and then it becomes, already it's 90% less as taking a hold of you as what it would have done 6 months ago for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the new things I've learned as part of my Buddhism and psychology course is that the left brain, which is the brain that the part of the brain that deals with language and which kind of communicates your sense of self and what you're experiencing, your left part of your brain will actually make up stories to protect you and to protect yourself. So as far as natural selection is concerned, you have that. We have that nervousness that there might be a predator around, or that we need to protect ourselves. But now we don't live in an environment where we need to worry about those things. We still have those impulses and those feelings in the brain, but now they're reappropriated to things like, oh, I'm going to do a call on camera, and then that part of your brain wakes up. And yeah, I think what we're doing in the active meditation is sort of, we're almost responding to that left brain, aren't we, and saying like, this is just a perception. It's just what the Buddha would have called a mental formation. It's just a story that your left brain has made up that isn't true, and that's where you get this sense, isn't it, that you've alluded to, that your thoughts aren't real, and your feelings aren't real.
Yeah, 100%.
And I wonder too if that also is a barrier to entry, because we've had these thoughts and held on to these feelings our entire lives, and it is our sense of self, isn't it, that what I think is who I am, and how I feel is who I am, and what I do is who I am. And then to sort of hear someone suggest that actually you should start to let those things go, it must be quite frightening, because then you
I always think it's kind of like the first 22 years of my life I've followed these impulses, these cravings, these desires, like without even knowing. We follow thoughts, and you don't know you're doing it until you, like you say, practice meditation. But like, so it's kind of like you've got to unlearn everything you've learned that you don't even know you've learned, which is, I know that's like crazy word sentences, but there is a sense to that. You've got to unlearn, you've got to unravel all these kind of like tangles. And it's interesting what you say about how you mentioned sort of in our primitive days, we say, it's our left side of the brain helping us in dangerous situations, because it's like, I read a good book, actually. It's A Monk's Guide to Happiness. I'll send you a link sometime, but he addresses a similar thing, and he's sort of describing how the brain releases a chemical when it senses danger. And obviously, like you say, in primitive days, danger would have come from a literal predator around the corner, and fitting into groups of people. That feeling we feel today is because in our primitive days, the days that our mind still thinks we're living in, you'd want to fit into like groups of hunters, because naturally we live in communities, and that was a community. And I even think just in being aware of that, like, can help so much. And it's it's all kind of like everything we see is like a warped version of reality in our own heads, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm getting at there? And then it's sort of like in stepping back and realizing it's just a natural body reaction to an idea back then. We're in a new society. We're in a whole new way of life now that our defense system doesn't really fit into anymore. So we have to address it in some way, which I do think is meditation and mindfulness as well. Just carrying it into, you can meditate, but then I think to carry it through into your day as well is equally as important as the actual practice.
Yeah, that's it, innit? I think, but the teachings of the Buddha put it into some sort of words as though like meditation gives you the knowledge or the wisdom, and it's not that you're supposed to seek, like you were saying earlier, you don't seek this feeling in the meditation and think, okay, I've got there, and then it ends, and then you and then you go be horrible to your partner and get into road rage and steal things. Like, that's obviously not the point. The point is that you take that knowledge and that feeling that you get in your meditation and use that, don't you, as a technique. You said you let go of control to find control, which I think is a really beautiful sentiment, and I think it rings true that's what you're doing. I think the meditation gives you the technique to choose. And I hate the word choose and choice, but I guess, for lack of a better one, it lets you choose to acknowledge those feelings and then go, oh yeah, I know what's happening. That's just my brain doing what it's doing. And then finding a different place and an option then to not follow that thought and not follow that feeling and appraise it more accurately. I want to ask you about what your actual practice is, because I use Headspace, and I figure you do slightly different things. But before that, I just want to. There was something else I was going to ask you, and I've forgotten about it. It might come to me. So, tell me what your sort of usual practice is, and as a what do I want to say? I can't think what I want to say, but just to also mention that I think, for me, before I started meditating, I thought I knew what it was. I thought it was like sitting on the ground, cross-legged, and you say Om, and I didn't understand why and whatever. And then come to learn that, actually, there's like, probably you could do it however you wanted, right? And the point isn't what you're doing; it's what it gives you at the end of it, right? So tell me a little bit about what you do and see if it differs.
Yeah, well, for me, I like to do it kind of as soon as I wake up. I'll usually have a shower, like, straight away, and I go straight into my meditation, which I do in here in the spare room. And I like to try and cut the time as short as I can from waking up to actually meditating, because otherwise I do find myself, that's when my mind starts to sort of tell me, I've got to meditate now. Do you know what I mean? I still sort of, I try to keep that time as small as I can. So I have a shower, which I actually weirdly, I have cold showers, because I don't know if anyone knows, or if you know of a man called Wim Hof.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that. I'm all over Wim Hof right now. Yeah.
Are you? Oh, so good. I love that. I'm glad you are. You're either going to look at me like, or just know what I was saying. So I have a cold shower, and then I come in here. I've got this right here, actually. I've got a little, like, meditation cushion. I sit on that, and I began using Calm, the app, and I'd follow that through doing sort of 10-20 minute sessions, and through that I sort of started to grasp a bit of an understanding in the letting go and finding that sort of, I suppose, stillness, and then now I still do use the Calm app, but I sometimes, it varies. Like, sometimes I like to just sit quietly for half an hour on my own, following my breathing. There's a man on YouTube, Muji Meditation, who I've recently discovered. I like his meditations. This morning I tried for the first time, I think it's called Samya, the Samya Foundation. It's like a well-being charity. They did a live meditation on Zoom, so I did that this morning. So it does vary, but the one thing that does stay the same is I'd always start my mornings off with a meditation, and then some days that's it for the day, and until the next morning. Some days, certainly like now while we're on lockdown, I'll sometimes meditate 2-3 times in a day. Just I actually read one book which was about Buddhism. Buddhism Plain and Simple, it was called, and they refer to it in that as the leaning mind. So they say when you find yourself, there's no really way of putting it, I suppose, like slipping downhill or feeling angry or feeling a bit sad or feeling a little bit low or anything like that. They call that the leaning mind. And for me, when I do find myself leaning and I've acknowledged that, actually I'm starting to sort of, follow this thought train here, or follow that craving, I'll just sit down. I'll take 10 minutes, follow my breathing, and it feels like it just neutralizes me again. I feel like I'm, the weight's back in the center. I'm upright again, and I sort of, I can understand how they refer to meditation as waking up, not relaxing. It energizes me. It makes me see the positives. It's that sort of, my viewpoint on it anyway.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that, man. That's really, really lovely, and a wealth of resources as well that I feel like we can all use if we want to. Do you feel like, and not to be this feels sort of I don't know what the word is. It feels sort of cynical or anyway negative maybe. But have you experienced even in your daily practice, have you had any wobbles where you've thought for a week or so like, no, I'm not enjoying this anymore, or you get into such a routine with it that you're just going through the motions and you've stopped sort of feeling the same feeling, and how have you got through that, and how significant do you feel like that is?
I did. I hit a point where I realized I was still this was probably even a couple of months into like, daily meditation. I started to realize like I was still getting like nerves. Like I have this weird thing, and it is weird, but it's not weird because I can't help it. Like anywhere I go, any job I've ever had, or just honestly anything, even in my school days, I have this thing where I have to have somebody who I'm convinced doesn't like me. Like I literally think they don't like me, and if they come into the room, I'll tense up, and I feel like I've got to either look like I'm funny or look like people like me, just to show this one person that in my head I've decided doesn't like me or thinks this of me, even though they've never done anything wrong, never ever. But I always have this thing where I have to latch onto somebody and think that they think that. And
were you aware of that before the meditation, or have you like always
I
known?
was aware of it, but I believed it. Like I really, I was aware. I was like, another person that just spoils it now. Now I've got a dread going there. Like, so definitely through meditating, I've realised it's literally not true. But one thing I have found is I still do it, as in the meditating hasn't made it go away, but what it has enabled me to do is recognise when I'm doing it, that it's not real, that it's just a feeling, and it'll pass by. It does. It literally, like in acknowledging that it's a thought, not reality. You find yourself distancing from it, and as well, the other thing I did hit a point in was the feeling that it gives me. So it's like a tingling in my chest and my tummy is where it starts. I was like, I'm still getting that feeling, like it's not making it go away. And I think that was quite a big step for me, because I realised it's not about making it go away. It's about acknowledging it's there, being with it, not pushing it away, accepting it, and not attaching storylines to it. So now when I feel it, I know, feel it, focus on it, and don't start chucking, he thinks I'm not funny, or he thinks I look miserable, or he thinks this of me, because it's literally just a feeling in my tummy, which helps a lot.
Yeah, and even that, such a positive breakthrough, right? Even that moment where you go, oh man, I expected that I should be better than this now, is a feeling I get. I go like, I've been meditating every day for almost a year, so why do I still feel like this? And it's like, you can't hold yourself responsible for the things that your brain has been programmed to do for.
Yeah.
I was gonna, I'm gonna make up like an embarrassing scientific statistic, because I don't even know how long we've been, our brains have been how they've been. But you can't hold yourself responsible for that, can you? And
no.
Just that's a really, really good, astute point as well. Because I guess there's loads of people that probably even do get into it, but then also again drop off for those things. I think it sounds like you're in a way better place with it than I am right now, where I am feeling a little bit like it's absolutely intrinsic to my everyday way of life. And I think doing this Buddhism course and having people around me have sort of come out of the woodwork and said, oh yeah, I do it as well, and that's kind of refreshed it for me. And I think I did start to get into a point, and have done multiple times, where I am just going through the motions, where I'm like, oh, I haven't done it today. I'm the same. I also do it first thing in the morning as soon as possible, because otherwise I think it can. You just need that intervention, don't you, before your brain
Yeah,
lets loose on the rest of the day. But I do get into a state where I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll sit and I'll do it and I'll feel it. Oh yeah, cool. But then like the day will end and I'll think, oh, I've not really been super mindful today. I've not really thought about it since I did the exercise, and it's that sort of thing I want to be a bit more mindful of and wary of.
yeah,
And I think frequency. I don't know if you agree with this idea, that it sounds like you do, because it's something you're actually doing, that frequency, as in the amount of times you keep coming back to the meditation, or even to the remembering the feeling that it gives you, that's more important, I think, isn't it, than sitting for an hour a day. It might be that you do 10-20 minutes in a morning, but then as long as you keep coming back to it, or then do another exercise in the afternoon and whatever. Do you think that's true too?
yeah, definitely. I think you're right in that, because it's like you say, when you sometimes forget to be mindful, it's quite easy to, like you say, look back and go, oh, I just got angry. I wasn't mindful. And actually, I think a big part of it as well is not adding like that element of judgment to yourself. Like, it just comes down to being kind on yourself. It's like, no, of course you can't be 100% mindful all the time, but at least you've recognised you weren't mindful, and now you are being mindful by recognising it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, with frequency, I think it's certainly for starting out. Actually, I think frequency is good, because it's not just something you do in the morning, or it can just be a thing you do in the morning, but it's quite nice to bring yourself back into that internal / external state quite often throughout the day, just to well, I suppose remind yourself that it's there. I did read one thing, read or saw on a video. It was someone said how when you're meditating, you're not creating a peaceful state or in a stillness or anything. It's literally already there. It's always there. All you're doing is tapping into it. And I thought that was really nice, because it's sort of like that's why I think anyone would benefit from meditation, because it's not like you're conjuring up some kind of wisdom. It's like you're just recognizing the actual realness and the actual truth of like everything, your feelings, and just even the externals, like everything. But it's already there. Do you know what I mean? It's just a case of tapping into it, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of, I would say the only hurdle is whether or not you can resist the urge, resist that restlessness for long enough, for over a period of a few days or a couple of weeks, and then you do just naturally. I think that does the work for you, doesn't it? I think I feel a sense that when I'm coming to the exercise, I need to bring with it like an intention of like, right, I'm gonna fully focus. I'm not gonna let this thought come in, and I'm not gonna let this feeling come in, and I'm gonna try not to get restless and whatever else. And I think that's actually totally wrong. I think the only thing you should come in with is the intention that you're gonna be there, you're gonna show up for yourself, and the intention actually is more important than the success, isn't it, of the practice at the end?
Yeah, definitely.
And actually, doesn't that just bring us around to what you were saying about just what we do in everyday life anyway, which is that if you think you want to paint, but you're not going to be any good at it, so you don't do it, or you start doing something and you do it for a couple of days and you go, no, I'm a bit rubbish at that, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Actually, what if you just allowed yourself to be present for the experience, not judge yourself based on how good you think you are at it, not judge the thing itself based on whether or not you think it's doing anything good for you, and just actually, what if we were able to move away? And I guess hopefully during the lockdown, I guess we are moving away from doing things constantly that are productive, and kind of we're forced, aren't we, to take this time to look at what am I going to do in this moment, because I have nothing planned until I go to bed tonight. And do you want to look at that time and go, I have to do something productive, I have to do something I'm good at, and beat yourself up all day and feel bad about yourself because you didn't do your best? or do you want to just try something
Mm.
and see where it goes and see what it does for you, and then if it doesn't do anything for you, not judge that thing and not judge yourself at the end of it.
That's it. I think that just shows how often we forward think, and like everything has to be thought of. Like everybody does it, and like we don't even know that we do it. But everything we do, we're always looking forward. Like even like I don't know, but like we get jobs to get paid, obviously. But even that's kind of like we're doing it for the outcome at the end, which is obviously we have to with a job. That's probably a bad example, but like with the painting, I could have not done it because I can't do it. I wouldn't have had a good outcome at the end. But it's just seeing that in doing it, the fun is found. You know, it's weird actually as well, because in learning about mindfulness, because I did like an online diploma on mindfulness as well, similar to like what it sounds like you're doing, and it was actually interesting in recognizing through mindfulness, you just see stuff it's almost like you see more than, for me anyway, what I did before. Like if I go on a walk, I just actually like notice things. It's almost like, it sounds so like rubbish. Oh, like I can see that now or that now, but it really has like open. I owe a lot of it like to you, because I don't think I would have got into it without your advice. But like
You've done it all yourself.
Yeah, it's really nice actually to be able to talk to you about it, because it's sort of something, in practicing it and reading about it, I don't openly know anybody else who sort of I'm able to use, like actually discuss it with. Like I do, I'll tell Annie about it, and she's like, oh.
I know that
and
feeling.
I'm like, yeah.
I know that
It's
feeling.
nice to actually be able to have a conversation with someone who's sort of, like yourself, who you're experiencing it as well.
I guess I needed a bit of a shot in the arm, I think, with the practice, with the meditation, and I think that I'm definitely, my next step is to try to do it a couple more times a day, or at least once more a day, because I think I am getting better at the, like I've actually got a post-it note here that says, remember that feeling of quiet confidence, that's a term from the Headspace stuff, where that's what he calls the feeling of, like, for me it's the feeling and a sort of place sometimes where there are no thoughts, but sometimes where there are thoughts, and I'm able to just acknowledge them and observe them. I think it's that the sort of I've heard it referred to as like the witness, like you are the witness, you are not the thoughts and whatever else. So I've got these like post-it notes around, but then you stop noticing those as well. Your brain's very clever, isn't it? It just wants you to to be okay. I know what's going on now. I'm very safe. I have all the knowledge, and there's nothing else to learn. And what I know is that everything is terrible. Everything is scary. I am better than everyone else. I don't need to better myself in any way. I'm totally justified when I'm terrible to someone, and I deserve more. And it is my goal in life to get more, whether it's more money or more cars or food or friends or social status or whatever it is. And yeah, I want to get rid of that. Not get rid of it, but make friends with it. Even is probably more accurate.
Yeah.
Make friends with that side of myself that thinks that that's necessary, and then we have the liberty to pick and choose which of those things are actually useful to us and serve us.
No, that's really interesting. It's like the ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we've noted ego to be something where it's like when you're being big-headed, but actually I think the ego is also speaking through you when you give yourself the last bit of soup in the bowl, or the last sweet in the bag, or like when you're if you're arguing with somebody, and it's like, certainly if you watch two people arguing and you can see they're both adamant in their belief, but they're going actually it's never going to end. They're never, you're never going to convince this other person to think your way, and even if you do, then what? It's like, so it's kind of like just in stepping back and just being like, I don't need to be right. I can think this or feel that, but it's just trying not to touch the ego, which is like the hardest thing in the world.
It's hard, right? It is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And it's funny because as much as we said earlier that you can't intellectualize these sorts of things, you do, like, you go as far as getting the knowledge, which is like a point where I'm pretty confident at now. I'm there, and I know, I get it, I understand. I don't want to be this person who has the last sweet in the bag all the time. But then when it comes to actually doing it, and you recognize, you go like, man, my ego doesn't like that. Someone's just said something to me, I've got a message or a text or I got an email, I don't really want to respond to it, and I kind of go, my left brain is having a terrible time coping with this. And then actually getting down to, and I don't want to downplay the sort of the difficulty in, it's almost a burden sometimes, isn't it, that you kind of go, oh man, now I'm aware that this is happening, and I feel more of a responsibility to do the right thing because I'm more able to do it. So you kind of let yourself off more and less in it, at the same time, don't you? I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I'm in no way at all in a position where I can say I no longer get angry. I no longer get, nervous, because I absolutely still get angry and frustrated. I'm actually, at the minute, I wake up every night at about 3 a.m. I think it's just because I'm not doing a lot, in my days, like exercise-wise. So I'm waking up and I can't get back to sleep, and I'm getting so angry and frustrated. And I honestly, like, it takes over me. But like you say, I'm now aware of it, and it can sometimes feel like a burden that I'm aware of it, because I'm like, oh no, I'm not being, I don't, so it's sort of like, it's in no way am I in some kind of position where I actually just don't experience the ego. Like, chances I never will be, but I do think I feel a lot better myself in being aware of the ego and being able to acknowledge it when it is kicking in.
It's not about reaching nirvana. It's about, for me, it's about not being as stubborn. It's about being more open-minded. It's about being less fearful. And if it helps you be more productive and more calm in your day, then wow, isn't that's enough, isn't it? That's all you need.
Yeah. Since I've sort of got into the meditation, I'm on a bit of like a high from it. Like I keep buying books, and so I just love it. I think it's fascinating, and especially now that, like I say, I'm personally just at the very surface of like actually meditating, properly or anything. But like, it's just, I just love being able to read about something now and be able to actually understand what it's talking about. When they use terms like living in the present, I can really understand it, as in there's a lot of meaning to it, and I really think it's real, and it would help a lot of people, including me.
Yeah, I agree, and it's something I said to Todd, that you were saying earlier, that it's not like some big skill that you learn. It's just something you remember that's already there. You just sort of dial in, don't you? You just tune into it, and everybody experiences it. I'm sure that most people must be experiencing it a lot of the time. Otherwise, life would be unbearable for them. And there are people, who life is unbearable for some people, and lots of people have lots of different situations and issues that, unfortunately, probably just meditating isn't going to do it for them. But I think, especially talking to the sort of, relatively privileged people like myself, who live in relative freedom and has a job and, fine social status and whatever else, but you still get all the. That's not to say your life is without issue, is it? And yeah, for people like me, it's I deem it necessary, but it's essential for me. But yeah, I totally agree. Would be helpful to lots and lots of people, and easy as well. I just want to sort of run down the list of what I think that you've said are really good tips for like getting into it, in case anyone is thinking about it. So put it in your routine, make a routine of it. Just push through a few days, try and do it. I did it like a few times a week, and then I was like, I feel like I want to do this more. You kind of start craving it, don't you?
Yeah.
A great feeling. So yeah, try and make a routine out of it, and that is as much keeping up with it as knowing, putting things in place. Like I think it's cool that you've got that cushion. I'm really struggling with my comfort at the minute. Like my chairs aren't comfy and stuff. So yeah, if you've got a cushion, or do it at a time when you know you'll do it. That's why you got to do it first thing in the morning, right? Otherwise, I don't know if you're anything like me. I'm like, I used to be like, oh, it's 10, 11 p.m. and I haven't done it yet, so I just do it last thing before I go to bed. And it felt a bit like, I'm not really sure that's the right thing. Not using it to try and heal yourself instantly. It's not, and obviously that's natural, because that is our society and our culture, isn't it? That we just want to like, you want to click your finger and you just tap some stuff on your phone, and then something shows up at your door, and that's what we're accustomed to that now, and that efficiency doesn't really apply to your own brain. So give it a bit of a chance, and be open to what it's going to do for you, and just trust. It's a lot of trust, isn't it? In the exercise. Which again, being open to it, that's something else you said. Be open to it. That it seems obvious, but if you go in thinking, it's not really going to work, who knows? It's not religious or wacky. It's just connecting to yourself. That's, of course, it's just breathing, isn't it? I just tell people it's just doing nothing for a bit. You just sit and breathe and don't do anything.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Let go of control to find control. That again, brilliant. I'm going to think about that a lot more. And there are lots of resources out there. You've got the Calm app, Headspace, Muji on YouTube, the Samya Foundation. I don't know much about that one, but I'll look into that. That sounds cool. I
think just one more thing to add is, I suppose if anyone is listening who is thinking about it, as well, one thing I kept putting it off was I'd tell myself I didn't have time to do it, so I'd wake up and have to shower and go to work. But a solution to that was I just started waking up 20 minutes earlier, meditate. Do you know what I mean? So that you absolutely do have time.
I always think, I can't remember where I heard this, but like discipline is important. You can't just have fun all the time, because it ends up backfiring on you, doesn't it? It's like, I always think when they taught me about coffee and caffeine in school, if you have too much caffeine, it actually starts making you tired. And I think that's the same with, like, if you're just trying to do things that are only fun all the time, you're going to end up running into lots of things in your mind that you've been neglecting or even exacerbating, aren't you? And this is a really great analogy that I think about all the time. We have parents, if we're lucky, we have parents who, as children, are quite... A parent's job is to make the child's experience as rich and fulfilled as possible while also keeping them safe. So a good parent is not going to be saying, I have 12 bags of sweets tonight because you'll enjoy it. A good parent is being like, I know when to give my kid this, and I know when... It's boundaries, right? We lose those boundaries as we grow up. So it's about giving yourself your new boundaries as an adult, and that's been really useful to me and really helpful. And again, I'm a naughty kid sometimes, and I push my own boundaries, and what you start to notice, isn't it, as you get older and as you practice things like this, is that you know the consequences of pushing your own boundaries, and it's up to me to know when I'm doing that and how I'm going to get myself back on track and also prepare for it. And I think that the practice is as much about preparation, isn't it, for these difficult times as it is soothing.
No, definitely. Just this last week, so the first sort of 2 weeks of lockdown, I was up and down like all the time. It's just like, mentally like that. But I think now I'm trying to start actually getting up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, go on a run, after meditate, go on a run. And I'm actually finding just exercise. Like, Annie's been getting me doing these online fitness videos and going on a run. And I didn't want to do it at all, but then actually in doing it, it really perked me up. I felt energized, I felt good, I felt motivated. So I think exercise as well is like key for me anyway. It sort of, keeps me going, feeling good. I listened to Russell Brand Under the Skin podcast with Joe Wicks, and Joe was saying that, like, whenever he feels he's got no motivation or is feeling a bit down, he makes himself do 20 minutes exercise. So it's essentially he uses exercise as his meditation. He says it just completely brings him back up, even if you have no motivation to do it. As hard as it is to make yourself do it, in doing it, when you actually start doing it, it's actually releasing, like, chemicals around your body that literally do bring you up. Things to try, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. How are you finding contacts? It just occurred to me that you're up there on your own, the two of you, right? Have you got like many friends up there yet, or?
I think I'm certainly very happy in Annie's company. I hope she's with me. The friends up here, we've got a lot of friends. I've got a few friends from work. I've just contacts on Messenger. Most Annie's uni friends, we both we all get along with them, but they've all gone home for the lockdown. It wouldn't make a difference if they're here anyway, because it's not like we'd do anything anyway. But yeah, It's crazy actually, because when I think about, like, we used to live together for a year. We did Kings of Hull together. I've got other bits and bobs we're in together, and then I just haven't seen you or even really spoke to you in probably 2 years.
Yeah, I always felt like I'd just get back in touch with you eventually and just have a chat. Do you know what I mean? And then for one reason or another, obviously you put things off and give yourself excuses and whatever. But yeah, I think you were one of my favourite people going through uni, and we had a laugh together.
Yeah, I had a similar thing with Matt Galloway. I don't know if you're listening, Matt. I FaceTimed him. We FaceTimed on my birthday actually, which was like 2 weeks ago. And then we did again the other day. And it was like, when we FaceTimed on my birthday, we hadn't spoken in probably about a year. It hadn't been as long as it's been between us two, but like, and he even said to me, he was like, because he'd done one of these press up challenges, and he's like, I was going to tag you, and then I thought, well, it's been too long. I'm sure maybe you don't want tagging. And it was like, it's sad, but also nice that like we were able to just FaceTime, and we both addressed it's like we're like very close friends, but just because we've not spoken in so long, that doesn't change. Like, it's like everything was just like it always has been.
Yeah,
and it was nice. It's nice to catch up with people.
So I think that all the time. It's that feeling you get when you see someone getting on the bus and you're like, I haven't seen this person in so long. I wonder if they've forgotten who I am, or they don't care that I remember who they are and whatever. And it's the same thing, innit? Like, I often think sometimes I'll even like someone will write something on Facebook that I think is funny or cool or interesting, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should like that because they might think it's a bit weird that this guy from years ago is like reading what they post. But I wonder if actually it's way more cool that someone from years ago does pop up and remembers you and wants to still engage with you. And
I don't know. It is quite daunting.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, that person's moved on and they're happy now. We're not friends. We're not like close anymore. But I'm sure we are still close. But yeah, it's funny. It's like there's a weird thing with messaging someone, because it's such a, I suppose, normal way of communicating now, but it's also very not normal to send someone words on a screen. It can be quite like, oh, once it's sent, it's sent.
Wow, this has been a really cool, thoughtful, nice catch up, mate. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, it has. It's been really nice.
Glad you've got your credit through and stuff, and hope it.
Thank you.
Hope things get easier for you.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. It's like I'm actually in a very good position compared to probably a lot of people, really. So,
well, as I say, that's been really brilliant and enlightening and really great. Not just to catch up with you, but to hear about how your meditation's going and just to hear that you're doing well in general. Well done for keeping your spirits up during this trying time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Send my love to Annie.
Likewise.
Thanks, bud.
Definitely. 100%.
Right. Well, take care of yourself.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Lots of love.
And that's that for another week. Thanks for sticking about, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again to Joe for that brilliant conversation, his honesty and his generosity. He kind of asked me afterwards to explain that I think he's such a sweet, humble guy, and I think he worried a bit that we come off like armchair experts in this sort of thing. But to be honest, there's a thing with meditation where you, as soon as you start to do it, you understand it to a degree. I guess everyone's an expert in perceiving stuff. I don't know. So yeah, I'm sure you all agree. Joe has nothing to worry about there. Me, on the other hand, probably a little bit more so. This armchair expert over here. Well, that's it for another week. Next week, what wonders have we got in store? I can tell you what wonders we got. My sister Ellie Mae is on the show next week with an awesome conversation, really enlightening about what it's like. She just turned 18 and she was due to go to uni this year, so lots of weird life stuff going on for Ellie Mae that she was kind enough to share with me. So that conversation is going to be really cool. And just before I go, just another short appeal really to send these conversations out to anyone you think who might benefit from listening to them. Not for my benefit, I don't really get anything out of it, but Once I've had the conversations with people, the important thing for me personally is done. But then I guess the point of sharing them is that hopefully I'm collating a good sort of base of different things that people are going through, and there might be someone that can benefit from hearing a particular episode, or if someone having trouble sleeping and they want something to listen to, even, which now I've said that sounds a bit strange, but it was well intended, and that's all you can do. So yeah, anyway, thanks again. Remember to stay in touch with yourselves first and foremost, and most importantly, those around you, and with me if you fancy it. See you soon.